Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to yet another interesting topic on The Real Talk. We are so glad you could join us. Sincere apologies for having to start the show a little bit late. This was due to some technical difficulties, but you know what they say, better late than never. We are here again with yet another real topic. We are discussing all things: when is the right time to disclose your HIV status, your HIV positive status, by the way, to your partner. I am your host, Lubumbe Jeremiah Mlanda. Remember to tell your friend, to tell another friend, to tell another friend that The Real Talk is on. I am not alone on today's show. I am with three lovely young people, as I like to refer to them, and they will introduce themselves. And gents, as they always say, ladies first. So Natasha, please introduce yourself.
Thank you so much, Jeremiah. I'm excited to be here, and thank you for each and every person who has joined us today. My name is Natasha Seketa. I am an SRHR youth advocate and also a peer educator. I believe that once a peer educator, always a peer educator. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you very much, Natasha. We are so humbled that you could join us. Next up is Henry. Henry, please introduce yourself.
Thank you, Jeremiah. Good afternoon, everyone. So my name is Henry Muzu. I'm a public health activist. So my role is basically to speak to all issues that concern public health. And I'm delighted to join the ZYP team today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Henry. We are so excited that you could avail yourself for the show. Next up is Oswald. Oswald, please introduce yourself.
Thank you very much, Henry. My name is Oswald Sanga. I'm the country director for Phenomenal Youth Association, a youth-led organization that is dealing with youths and adolescents living with HIV.
Beautiful. Thank you very much, Henry. And now you remember, to my viewers out there, a bit on Facebook, on YouTube, you can send your questions and contributions, and we'll be able to read them out to the guests so that we could be able to, enjoy this ride together. Now, we are discussing all things: when is the right time to disclose your HIV positive status to your partner? And I know this one is a hot one, a very controversial one. So maybe to set the ground running, Oswald, before we even speak into when is the right time, if even there is a right time, what do you think are some of the factors that influence someone to be able to open up to their partner about their HIV positive status?
Well, the factors are quite different because when one is entering a relationship, sure they expect a lot of things from the other partner. Among things, there's supposed to be honesty and commitment, because enter a relationship with somebody that you don't really have a future with, or you don't have intentions to go further with that person. With disclosure is quite different, because for you to disclose your HIV status, then you're definitely seeing a future with that person. You know, you have really good intentions, and you wouldn't want to jeopardize their health just because you love them and you don't want to lose them. I believe honesty from the start is very vital, especially when one gets to realize that uh, the person that they are with, uh, it's things are getting too serious for them, and one should come open so that that person that they decide to be with get to decide if they be with them for who they are or something else. Eventually, if this person only had intentions to be with, let's say the man had intentions of growing old with the woman, or marrying the woman, then definitely he should come clean. I believe first impressions are really much important. We get to see a lot of cases where a lot of people are killing themselves. A lot of people are killing other people because they did not share their HIV status. I believe if one wants the person to love them with all honesty for who they are, when you get to see that this person is serious about me, I think they should come out clean, meaning they should share their HIV status, or I'm HIV positive, and not to show sorrow, because we are no longer living in those days where somebody who is HIV positive is thinking that only death is waiting for them. We have people who are HIV positive who are doing extreme beautiful things, graduating, starting businesses, having a lot of degrees, and so much more. So there is life after HIV diagnosis. The aspect that destroys a lot, it's what comes out of us when we're told we are HIV positive. I'm actually a youth living with HIV, and I was born with HIV. So I know the experience. Despite not having challenges when it comes to love, I believe the stories that I get to see from dealing with young people living with HIV, stories that they get to share from time to time, because these are everyday life situations. Somebody in school having challenges to open up. Some of the people they haven't even disclosed their HIV status to their parents, guardians, siblings, cousins, and so much more. So disclosure is very, very much vital, especially if it's got to do with people that you love. They're supposed to know your status. It's really important to share to one person or the other. And to those people that are in love, I believe telling your HIV status when you see that somebody is very serious about you, from the first point, is very, very much important.
Beautiful. Great stuff. I like how you have set the tone for this conversation. And if you are just joining us, we are on the Real Talk with yet another real topic. We are discussing all things. When is the right time to disclose your HIV positive status to your partner? Now, I'll quickly come to you, Natasha, because you are a female, and I would like you to speak from a female point of view. I know you are interacting with the young people, young people who are getting into relationships day in, day out. What do you think are some of the factors that would influence them to disclose their HIV status? Because look, I have had young people walk up to me and say, look, Jay, I can't disclose to this girl that I really love that I'm HIV positive, because immediately I do so, she's going to leave. So what factors would influence a person who's thinking like that to disclose their HIV status?
Thank you so much for that question, Jeremiah. And indeed, disclosing your HIV status to your partner is definitely something that can be stressful and can cause anxiety. But I think, as Oswald had mentioned, that it's something that is vital and is important, especially if you love your partner. And speaking to that, some of the factors that can actually influence one to disclose their HIV status is if the relationship has moved to the next level. When you see that, okay, this is not just a temporary relationship, but it's a relationship that you would like to take to the next level, to the next step. I think that is one of the factors that would actually influence one to disclose their status. And if the relationship also is starting to have sexual activity, I believe that if you are getting to be sexually active with a partner and you're HIV positive, it's important that you actually disclose your status, because it actually helps with protection. You care for your partner. So that can actually be a factor that can influence one to actually disclose their status.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you very much, Natasha. I like what you have said. It is at the point when you see that you are beginning to be intimate with this person. You need to be able to tell them that, look, this is how things are, because you are not just looking out for yourself, but you are also looking out for the other person. Now, remember, you can send us your questions, your comments, or your contributions, and we will be able to, ask our experts on the show. I like what Chimunya says from the chat. She says the foundation of every relationship is honesty, and honesty is a virtue. So by you disclosing your HIV positive status to your partner, you're basically, just being honest. I'll come to you, Henry. Now, a lot of people argue that there's a difference between privacy and accountability. So my question to you, Henry, is what are some of the health issues from your point of view do you think people in relationships should be able to disclose to one another?
Very much, Jeremiah, for that question. So for starters, allow me to say that each and every person has got a right to their privacy, and each and every person has got the right to be accountable to their action, because there's got both consequences and benefits. So in terms of information that needs to be shared as far as health issues are related, you have to bear in mind that there's certain information that, first of all, one person has to deal with before they get to a place when they can begin to disclose such information. So, for example, that's a place where I think private starts from. It's about, first of all, me dealing with my own issues, understanding that, for example, I'm HIV positive, and have I fully gone through the journey of acceptance and I've dealt with all my issues before I can begin to invite another person into my space. And then from there, once you've passed through those stages, then it is very important for you to realize that if you're going to trust that information with another person, you have to make sure that the person you're going to give the information to can be accountable. And one thing that people should bear in mind is that there are a lot of factors that really influence people to really disclose certain statuses. For example, if you're going to be in a work environment and then you've got this chronic disease with you, the benefits that it comes with you confirming or sharing that information with your employers, it is because if you're going to decide to have time off to go to the clinic and get attended to for certain medical conditions, it will be easy for the employers to really understand because you've presented that information. But the same thing also applies if you're going to be in a relationship and you decide to disclose certain information. It is because you're trying to think about moments that will not be able to actually go to the clinics, for example, to go and get your medication or any other services that is required, that you may ask another person to help you. Now, when people get to that point where they need to disclose certain sensitive information, one thing that people should know is that it is because they've trusted us, and we need to be accountable to that trust that has been presented. So privacy, first of all, is every human's right thing that each and every person is accountable to. And then the people that disclose certain sensitive information to us should know that before they disclose such information, it has taken them through a process of, first of all, understanding themselves, and now they have reached at a point where they feel now they are ready to share such kind of information. So you cannot take advantage of the fact that they've disclosed sensitive information to, and then you begin to extort them, or you begin to blackmail them. It means that now you're increasing the other information that they could have been fighting with for a very long time. So things that they thought they could have passed through the stages of acceptance, the fact that now you begin to present that negativity to them, presents now that situation when they start getting scared, or sometimes it may even lead to some kind of mental health issues, that because you shared sensitive information and then someone did not respect that fact and they're beginning to use the same information against you, has got other causative factors that may lead into depression, may lead into mental health. And these are some of the complications. So when people trust us with information, let's be accountable and make sure that we are honest and trust that it took a lot of time for them to get that point of disclosure. Thank you.
Beautiful. I like what you have said, Henry. There's a lot of fire in the chat box today. I'll start with Anisha Nsambu, who says, I think the right time to disclose your HIV status is at the beginning of the relationship. It helps someone to mentally prepare for what they are getting themselves into, which I feel is, a great line of thought. Chisenga Chilufya, though, says disclosure of one's HIV status to a partner has to do with how you started it or where you want to take the relationship. I like what Chisenga is also saying. I mean, look, if this relationship is not going anywhere, why should I go as far as opening up? Rebecca also says the right time to disclose your HIV positive status to your partner is when you enter the relationship, and when you enter a relationship with them and you feel you now trust them and they are able to be with you even after revealing your status. Those are very, very beautiful comments and contributions. Please keep them coming and we will be able to respond to them at a later time. Now, at this particular point, what I'm getting from the conversation is that you are highlighting that it is very important to disclose your HIV positive status to your partner, to your mate. Now, why is this very, very important? I mean, for other young people out there, they are probably thinking, it's a small issue. So what if she knows? So what if she doesn't know? But why is it important to disclose your HIV status? I'll begin with you, Natasha.
Thank you so much, Jeremiah, for that question, and for everyone else, their contributions. It is important for one to disclose their HIV status to their partner because someone actually gets to make well-informed decisions with regards to their health and well-being. I know right now we are promoting the U equals U, which is the undetectable equals untransmittable. And so many young people think, oh, just because there's U equals U, it's okay, I can't disclose. But I believe that it's important that your partner actually knows, so that both of you are actually making well-informed decisions with regards to your health. What measures are you putting up? Are you taking prevention medication? What measures are you actually putting in place to actually keep both of you actually healthy and safe? So it's important that we're actually making well-informed decisions with regards to our health. So that is what the major issue concerning disclosure, and that is why I think it is very important. And also just the fact that one actually just has to choose, they have to make a choice if they're going to be with you. I think this is something that has been highlighted by most people, that if you're honest enough, someone gets to have a choice to actually choose and say, I love you for who you are, this is the condition, but that doesn't change who you are, that doesn't change what I love about you, and we can actually work around this. So it actually respects someone and gives them the power of choice to choose to actually be with you going forward. So pretty much about being able to make well-informed decisions with regards to your health and taking the right measures. Thank you.
Beautiful. I like how you have well articulated those points. Also, I would like to hear from you, because you have lived some of these experiences, some of these questions, some of these perspectives, beliefs, you name it. From your point of view, why is it important to disclose your HIV status?
Well, disclosure is very much important because you give the other person the chance to make a sound decision of staying or leaving. I back up what Sengalia said, that you disclose in the early stages of the relationship. That is very much okay. But just to highlight something, majority of the people that are living with HIV at the moment are young people, and these young people are people that majority were born with HIV, and now they are grown. We are now getting married. We are having girlfriends. We are having fiancés, and husband and wives, and many of them it's very difficult to disclose because of what is tagging HIV. When you look at our communities, majority of people, if they hear that you're HIV positive, certain things get to change. It's these days you're even able to see a lot of young people voicing out, rolling out on media, talking about uh, how they've accepted themselves, loving themselves despite their HIV positive status. These people who are failing to disclose are adding up numbers, these numbers that we keep seeing rising. High HIV infections rate. If you noticed, majority of them, they are youths. They're now out there, but it's difficult. The surrounding is not friendly. There's a lot of stigma, there's a lot of discrimination, and a lot more. And it's not safe for them to say, hey, I'm living with HIV, I've been on treatment for the last so and so years, or so and so months, and I'm doing well. It's difficult because one, many of them, even their siblings, are not aware that my brother or sister or cousin is living with HIV because of what we are talking about in homes. And now we talk about people living with HIV. It's a total different ballgame, So it's all going back to homes. How much are we talking about HIV? How much are we talking about people who are living with HIV, and what are we saying? Is the zone friendly? If it was, we can have that surrounding where an HIV positive youth can be in love or in a relationship with an HIV negative youth without that discrimination of this person who pass the virus to me, or she will infect me, or he will infect me. We should be talking about positive things like undetectable equals transmittable. How these young people who grew up living with HIV are able to see the light at the end of the tunnel, knowing I can have children and I will not pass the virus to my wife or my sexual partner, and so much more. An HIV negative man or woman will get to see I can be in a relationship or in a marriage with somebody who is HIV positive, and I will not be at risk because one is adherent to treatment, is taking good care of himself, his viral load is suppressed and detectable, and the risks are zero. This is the information that we need to be talking about. Looking at the challenges that we are having, the surroundings, it's difficult for a youth to open up about their HIV status because one, it's tagging death. Anything that has to do with HIV, it's tagging death. Now we've grown. We are now in the, the four corners of the world, the country, and so much more. And it's difficult to disclose. What can we do? Can we make the ground more safe for disclosure? Can we be talking about HIV each and every day so that the grandchildren who are coming, because I say grandchildren, because our generation, look at us. I'm now in my early 30s, you know, meaning I'm trying my best so that people are able to have as much knowledge as they can on HIV. They should know that uh, being HIV positive doesn't mean that you are dying today. It doesn't mean that one being HIV positive, they cannot go to school, they cannot be whoever they set their minds to. Being HIV positive does not mean they'll never have children or they'll have a perfect life which they can project for themselves. Being told you're HIV positive gets to shatter everything. I see a lot of young people that I deal with having very low self-esteem, like I'm second best, which is not true. You know, we have a lot of young people living with low self-esteem, all because they are living with HIV. Come on, we have so much to offer to the society. We have so much to do. But what's important is having right information on HIV, knowing that if we are adhering to treatment, despite being HIV, I cannot pass on the HIV virus to my sexual partner. My wife will not have HIV positive children in my home. That is a step to creating an HIV free society. But it starts with us, you and I as individuals. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you very much, Oswald. I must say I got caught up into just hearing you speak and speak and speak because, what you are saying is true. And we could attribute the fact that, young people are not disclosing to their partners because the society is not conducive for young people to come out in the open, especially to their partners and say, look, this is the situation, this is who I am. But I like what you're also saying about being knowledgeable about these things, because the expectation from partners who are positive is that when they open up to us, probably we will receive this information as knowledgeable people. So we won't maybe blow it out of proportion or think that now I'm going to die, but we'll sit down and make informed and the right decision. And I like what you have said, also
Jeremiah,
about.
uh, the acceptance plays a key role. If you are living with HIV today and you do not have acceptance with you, acceptance helps you have good adherence. Acceptance will make you have good health. Acceptance will change your life. That even the negative talks that you get to hear from your friend or neighbors will not affect you. Accept this is you can't change it. You are HIV positive, you cannot change it. But one thing is evident: if you focus on yourself, if you adhere to your treatment, your viral load will be suppressed. You'll be undetectable. You cannot pass on the HIV virus, but it all starts with you. Thank you once again, Jeremiah.
Beautiful, beautiful. Always well informed, Oswald. We really, really appreciate. Now I'm going to come to you, Mozo, because I know you are constantly interacting with the young people. So how then would you encourage adolescents and young people on how they should go about disclosing their HIV positive status to their partners?
Thank you very much, Jeremiah, and thank you also for sharing all that insightful information. So I think for starters, before adolescents can disclose their HIV status to their partners, first of all, they have to go through the journey of accepting themselves. I think also I mentioned about a very important aspect of acceptance. So you will find that different health facilities that provide HIV services take through adolescents through a stage of understanding their HIV status and then the journey for living with HIV and what that means for them. Then from there, there's also a process where someone has to fully now make peace with the fact that they know they're HIV positive, and they've also made peace with the fact that they're going to go on treatment. And then making a step that they're now going to be into a relationship, it is another big step that, for example, comes with a lot of things that people worry about. Number one, if I disclose my HIV status, is someone going to change their mind for being in a relationship with me? Or what does this mean for me? So you'll find that there are different services that are available. So at facility level, there are different services that are being offered where there's couple counseling, where you can actually encourage your partner that you seek that professional counseling, both of you, so that you can go through a process of acceptance and understanding each other's statuses. There are people that are dating each other. Both of them could be living with HIV, but maybe they haven't both disclosed to each other. So there are those fears that it comes with thinking that there'll be rejection. There's going to be some potential IPV or GBV that are going to be associated. So I think it is important that if you're not sure how to go about that, you need to seek professional support from the healthcare facility or from a professional counselor that can take you through the process of disclosing those HIV statuses. That's number one. And then number two, if you've gone through the journey of acceptance and you've made peace with your own status, and you've also accepted fully that you're going to be taking medication for the rest of your life, and then you're ready to share that journey with somebody, you can start slow. I think someone was asking, when is the best time? I think the best time is when you fully accepted who you are. And then number two, now begin to also sense and assess the person that you're with. Is it someone that you can trust? Okay, so maybe go on a couple of dates and have different conversations. Indirectly, you can begin to ask certain questions and see how they are reacting to the situation. And if you see that they are progressive positively to the responses that they are giving you, that means that they could be ready to actually accept when you disclose your HIV status. So I think those are some of the steps that young people can actually follow as far as disclosure is concerned. Thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you very much, Mozo. And then Nyundu Catherine Mafuko Chipasha says, for me, I would say that it starts with me by accepting my HIV status, and the right to disclose it to my partner is from the start of the relationship. I believe in HIV testing and prevention methods. So for me to go into a relationship first is to do an HIV test. So I wouldn't be nice if I choose to hide the fact that I am HIV positive from my partner. To find from my partner the best time to disclose your status is at the beginning of the relationship. I really like that. There's a question that has got my attention from the chat box. And then Peza Simwamba says, here is a question. Let's say a young person comes to you and says he or she has just been told by the partner that they have been living with HIV. They have been living HIV positive even before the relationship, even before the start of the relationship. The partner feels betrayed and seeks your advice on how to handle the situation. So the scenario is this. These people have been together, but the other person didn't disclose that they were living with HIV. Maybe a year down the line or months down the line, and then the partner finds out that actually my partner has been living with HIV. What would you respond to that question? How would you try and handle that type of scenario? I will begin with Natasha, and then also you can also quickly add on to that situation.
Thank you so much, Jeremiah. And I'm actually glad that Oswald is part of this conversation, because it's important that we're actually listening to lived realities of young people. So I'm actually very glad about that. So with regards to this situation, I think it's important that we understand that when a person discloses their status, even just anything, not just their HIV positive status, but any other condition, it's important that we understand that as human beings, there's obviously going to be a reaction or an emotion. I think even as an individual who has actually disclosed the HIV status, it's important that we're actually patient, even with the people that we're actually disclosing our status to. We are patient, and it also matters, how are you disclosing? What exactly are you saying? Are you coming with facts? I think that's something that also actually mentioned. We should be bringing out the facts, the issues surrounding HIV. Are you bringing out information about how, if you're adhering to treatment, you're eating healthy, you're just living a healthy life, you can reach a level where your viral load is suppressed and you can be undetectable, and which leads you to being untransmittable, and you can't transmit the infection. So it's really important that even as we are disclosing our HIV status to our partners, the information, we have the facts, we have a comprehensive package of information that we are giving them, so that actually even being able to see, okay, these are the options that I have. But in this situation, I would just say that it's important that we understand that human beings have emotions, and it's important that we are patient and we know that, okay, let me give this person some time to actually process this information that they have given me. And also, where are you disclosing this? Because sometimes people get violent. So even as you're considering disclosing your HIV status, I think it's important that you are disclosing it in a place, of course, not a public place, but I think it's a semi-public place, a place that it's private enough for you to actually disclose this, but also it's public enough for you to call for help. What if the person ends up being violent in the process? So I think there's so many things to consider. When are you disclosing? How are you disclosing? What exactly are you saying to this person? And just generally being patient and knowing that, this person will react differently, and being patient and waiting for them to actually process the thing that you have actually told them. Thank you.
Beautiful, great stuff. I like what you have said, Natasha, because you have just prompted what Feni was saying in the chat. If we could just bring up that comment. And then this individual was saying the 5 W's, consider the 5 W's. So why do you need to, who do you need to tell? What do you want to tell them about your HIV infection? And what are you expecting from the person you are disclosing your HIV status to? When should you tell them? Where is the best place to have this conversation? And why are you telling them? So it is very important before you get to that step to always consider the 5 W's. I like that, Feni. Thank you very much for that contribution. Now, I will come to you, Henry. What are some of the dangers as we quickly wind up this conversation? Oh, Henry, the dangers of not sharing your HIV status in under a minute. What are some of the dangers of not sharing your HIV status?
Well, we've being around people living with HIV and the networks that are dealing with HIV, even the community gets to recognize you as somebody that is so much into HIV issues, and they get to share a lot of things. Now, we've seen cases whereby somebody who was not alerted of their HIV status gets to be attacked because this other person felt like they wanted to kill them, especially if there's no much information on HIV. You wanted to kill me, you wanted me to have HIV and so much more. We've seen some marriages ending, we've seen a lot of relationships ending because of non-disclosure from the start, or when it was a little bit comfortable, or before it got sexual. Because for somebody to say you wanted to kill me, then definitely the sex has been happening. So it is important for you to have a very clean and free conscious of not, if you're living with HIV, then do the needful. Disclose. Find a good strategy for you to disclose your HIV status, and talk about these things. If your partner is not very much into HIV issues, start talking about HIV bit by bit. If possible, decide to have a test, the two of you, despite you knowing your HIV status, so that the result can come out from somebody else, maybe a counselor, and it can help. But what is important is disclosure is very much important, because it will free your mind. It will also give the chance and the privilege to this person that you are dating, either to live because they think you are HIV positive and you can infect them, or so much more. And this person will decide to stay if they love you, because I believe love conquers all. And despite your HIV negative and positive status, we've seen people who are HIV negative and they get to marry somebody who is HIV positive, and somebody who is HIV positive, they get to marry HIV negative person. These are stories that we see in our communities. To those people that are especially open about their HIV statuses, we see these things happen. They will not put a blind eye to these things. It will be very much okay. Thank you.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you very much for that insightful contribution. Now, Henry, I will come to you. This has been a very, very lovely conversation. What is your take-home message from my viewers out there? What do you want them to leave with as we begin to conclude this conversation?
Thank you very much, Jeremiah. So I think in terms of adding on the dangers of not disclosing, first I wanted to start off by saying that people that are living with HIV should not feel pressured or rushed to disclose their HIV status, because I think disclosure is a process that really takes time. And the people haven't been disclosed, it is because maybe the person living with HIV could have really assessed the situation, could have also assessed the level of maturity with the person that they are dating, that perhaps this is someone that is not really ready to handle such kind of information. That's why sometimes it delays. However, like Natasha mentioned, that I think one of the things that we need to know is when you get into the relationship and you're living with HIV, you need to delay certain things such as having sexual intercourse, so that you get to that place where you've fully disclosed certain information before you get to that indulgence. So I think what is important is that we have powers. If people that are living with HIV have got powers that can then decide the direction the relationship takes by saying that no, we'll not have sex because I think we need to get to know a little bit more about each other. Now, the dangers of not disclosing HIV status, it has got an impact on potential gender-based violence, where if someone finds out that you're HIV positive, and sometimes people only find out that people are living with HIV maybe by discovering that there's a bottle under the table or under the bed, or they've hidden the medication in the car or somewhere else. And the moment someone discovers such is now where potential gender-based activities begin from. But again, it can only get to that level if someone has already indulged in sexual activities. If that hasn't happened, I think you've got the whole right to justify one, two, three things before you get to that place. So I think it is important for people to not feel pressured to disclose and assess that the environment is safe, the level of maturity can be appreciated, then that information can be given. However, we need to make sure that information is shared only when the time is right and not under pressure. Thank you.
Beautiful. I like what you have mentioned. There's no rush. There's no pressure. Who's pressuring you? Relax. Do it on your own terms. You need to realize that disclosure is a process, and the process doesn't get done in a day. It's gradual. You keep going and growing. I like that, Henry. Thank you very much. Natasha, what is your take home point for my lovely viewers out there?
Thank you so much, Jeremiah. This has been a very insightful conversation. My take-home message is that let's get ourselves informed. Let's read more about this. I think also it actually mentioned that if we are to create a safe environment for young people living with HIV, we need to inform ourselves. Let's read about it. Let's read about the new inventions, the technology, the new discoveries in medicines about HIV, how it's possible for one to live with HIV, get married, and not be able to transmit, the virus to their partner or even their children. So it's important that we are constantly reading and updating our knowledge concerning HIV for us to create a safe environment for each and every one of us. So young people, let's read up and be informed. And also, let's just be kind to each and every person. Thank you.
Beautiful. I like what you have said, Natasha. Let us be knowledgeable. Let us read. Let us explore. Let us expose our minds to HIV, because it is only then that we'll be able to support partners who are living with HIV and also be able to make informed decisions. Natasha, Henry, and also thank you very much for availing yourself on the Real Talk. We were so happy to have you, to host you, because you brought in a very, very great perspective. This has been the Real Talk. Remember, we come to you every Friday at exactly 2 p.m. Central African time with a real topic. We'll be back again next week. And thank you very much to the viewers out there who sent in questions, comments, and contributions. We will keep steering this conversation until we reach at that point where we close the new tap on where we close the tap on new HIV infections amongst the adolescents and young people. I have been your host, Lubumbe Jeremiah Mlanda. Thank you very much to the Zambian Youth Platform and its partners for having brought us this show. See you again next week at the same time, same place. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye.